Beloved chosen one, let the burdens you carry fall gently from your shoulders in this moment. Close your eyes if you feel led, and simply exist within the silent space between your breaths. Feel the weight of expectations, disappointments, and unspoken fears loosen their grip as you breathe in and out. You are here because a truth, an ancient spiritual frequency, is resonating with your spirit. A quiet, undeniable promise is being whispered into the deepest chambers of your being. Restoration is not only coming, it is already working within you, even in places you cannot yet see or comprehend. The human body, as understood by the world, is a complex biological machine, a marvelous construct of flesh, bone, and intricate systems. But the chosen one understands something deeper, something far more profound. You realize that your body is not merely a machine subject to decay and decline. It is a sacred temple, a perfectly calibrated instrument designed to house a divine spark, a fragment of the Creator's own breath. Every cell, every heartbeat, every subtle rhythm within you carries a memory of that original design. Think back, just for a moment, to the ancient texts, to the original design. When humanity was first fashioned, the essence was pure, the vessel flawless, untouched by the slow, creeping corruption of fear, doubt, and spiritual misalignment. The sickness, the fatigue, the mysterious aches that visit us, these are often echoes of a misalignment between the soul and its divine source. They are signals, not sentences, invitations, not final judgments. They are gentle alarms from the spirit realm, calling you back into alignment with the one who formed you. For those who are divinely selected, the rules of natural law are subject to a higher authority, divine law. And under divine law, the concept of decay is reversible. We are not speaking of fleeting human wishful thinking or quick dramatic fixes. We are addressing a deep fundamental reordering, a reversal that begins at the cellular level and radiates outward into your thoughts, your emotions, your posture, and your very presence. This is the ultimate self-healing mechanism activated by God Himself when certain essential elements are present within your spirit and your environment. The spine-chilling realization, the truth that will resonate deep within your marrow, is this: you were never meant to suffer the persistent degradation that others accept as normal. Your divine assignment requires a vessel of strength, clarity, and enduring vitality. And the forces of heaven are now engaged in bringing your vessel back into alignment with that original, pristine blueprint. This process of reversal, the curing of your own body by the power within, is not about demanding a miracle. It is about becoming the living environment where the miracle is natural. It is about allowing the original restorative energy of the Spirit to flow unimpeded through the channels of your life, through what you think, speak, consume, and dwell upon. And for this profound work to take root, for the divine architect to begin rebuilding, 7 specific sacred elements must be invited into your inner world. These are not supplements or simple habits. They are spiritual frequencies, and they are what God is requiring in your body right now to initiate the process of complete, self-governed healing. Prepare yourself to receive them. Let your spirit be open, your mind calm, and your heart receptive as we explore these 7 divine requirements for the chosen one's ultimate reversal and cure. This is a slow, methodical journey to restoration, a holy recalibration of your entire being. Number 1, unwavering, quiet certainty. Step away from the clamor of the world and consider a concept far more powerful than boisterous declarations of faith: quiet certainty. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a profound, almost scientific state of inner knowing that serves as the bedrock for transformative personal reality, particularly when addressing challenges like physical well-being. The script you've presented illuminates a critical, often overlooked truth. The divine, or universal intelligence, if you prefer a non-theological term, is less interested in the volume of your prayers and more invested in the unwavering frequency of your internal conviction. This concept flips the conventional paradigm of evidence on its head. In the material world, we demand proof to generate belief. We need a lab report or a physician's confirmation to accept a fact. The principle of the chosen one, however, operates from a higher, more sophisticated starting point, an inner knowing that is so absolute and peaceful that it organically establishes the proof in the physical realm. This certainty is not an emotional high. It is a deep, settled spiritual fact, a silent, unshakable truth resonating within your core. This internal dynamic is incredibly specific and unique when viewed through the lens of human physiology and psychological resilience. Imagine your mind as a bustling battlefield, constantly besieged by the war of doubt. Every worry, every what if, and every fear-driven scenario is a signal of distress, a negative electric impulse that keeps your entire system in a high alert, defensive, and restorative inhibited state. In this constant state of mental engagement and conflict, genuine healing reversal cannot begin. The physical body, a marvel of interconnected cellular communication, is constantly monitoring the dominant signal emanating from the central nervous system. When that signal is turmoil and uncertainty, the body's resources remain primarily focused on managing stress, not on comprehensive regeneration. Quiet certainty, therefore, acts as the ultimate spiritual biological toggle switch. It is the conscious, deeply held spiritual element that transmits a single, unambiguous command to every one of your trillions of cells. The outcome is settled. This is the end of the debate. It is a profound, nonverbal communication of absolute assurance that bypasses the logic and fear centers of the brain. The factual basis for this powerful influence lies in the very nature of the mind-body connection. Fields like psychoneuroimmunology, PNI, are dedicated to studying how our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs directly influence the nervous and immune systems. While PNI focuses on quantifiable mechanisms, the spiritual component of quiet certainty suggests that the spirit's conviction is a more potent signal than even the conscious mind's attempts at positive thinking. Your body, the physical manifestation of your spirit's journey, is wired to respond with greater potency to the deep, settled conviction of your spirit than it is to any external, potentially fearful prognosis. Consider the placebo effect, a phenomenon where belief alone triggers measurable physiological changes. Quiet certainty is this effect amplified by a fundamental spiritual acceptance of a desired reality. It transitions the individual from a state of striving to one of being. To possess this element is to make a momentous internal shift. You stop fighting for healing, a constant, exhausting, and stress-inducing battle, and you begin resting in healing, adopting the calm, energized state of someone who has already received the desired result. This restful assurance is not passive resignation. It is the most active, powerful form of spiritual engagement, creating the fertile, peaceful internal environment necessary for profound, tangible change to manifest. It is the silent, assured victory declared before the physical battle is even joined. Number 2, the sanctified pause, spiritual sobriety. The concept of the sanctified pause, or spiritual sobriety, is a revolutionary act of defiance against the frantic, always-on default setting of the modern fallen world. It is far more than a simple break. It is an intentional, chosen moment of profound stillness designed to decouple your entire operating system, mind, body, and spirit, from the biological turmoil of stress. At the core of this requirement lies a crucial physiological truth. Your complex, magnificent body systems, which include the endocrine, nervous, and immune systems, are not designed for perpetual crisis. In the face of chronic stress, a tiny region deep in your brain, the hypothalamus, signals your adrenal glands to flood your bloodstream with powerful survival-oriented hormones like adrenaline, epinephrine, and the master stress hormone, cortisol. This is the ancient, primal fight or flight response. A magnificent tool for escaping a predator, but an absolute catastrophe for a soul trying to hear the still, small voice of the divine in an office building. When the pause is absent, these hormones remain chronically elevated. The scientific data is unequivocal. Consistently high cortisol levels wreak havoc, disrupting blood sugar regulation, suppressing the immune response over time, impairing memory and cognitive function, and actively promoting inflammation throughout the body. Biologically, this is the very definition of disconnection. The body is perpetually primed for a threat that never fully materializes. The sanctified pause actively engages the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's innate rest and digest and feed and breed mechanism. By choosing stillness, you are issuing a direct conscious command to your nervous system. The crisis is over. This shift allows your heart rate to slow, blood pressure to drop, and your body to reallocate energy away from emergency vigilance and toward essential healing processes like cellular repair, digestion, and regeneration. Spiritually, this pause is the moment you deliberately submit your hyper-scheduled, demand-driven life to a slower, eternal clock, the rhythm of the kingdom of heaven. It is a moment of pure surrender where you step out of your own striving and into the sovereignty of the divine. Practices like stillness meditation, silent contemplation, or breath work are not merely relaxation techniques. They are ancient spiritual disciplines that serve as an inner tuning fork. They allow the noise of the world to settle like sediment in water, creating a clarity in the inner chamber where divine instruction can be received. By recalibrating your body's systems from the molecular level of hormone production to the energetic level of your heart's pace, you are, in effect, performing a daily spiritual system reboot. This reset is what empowers your physical mechanism to finally align with a divine mandate, transforming a stressed, disconnected existence into one rooted in the unshakable peace and eternal rhythm of spiritual sobriety. It is in this conscious, chosen stillness that the deepest healing and clearest purpose begin to flow. Number 3, the discipline of gentle consumption. The seemingly simple concept of gentle consumption transcends the dinner plate and plunges into the deep, often turbulent waters of our spiritual and energetic existence, revealing a profound, yet frequently overlooked truth. We are what we spiritually ingest. Imagine your mind not just as a computational machine, but as a vibrant, complex garden. Just as a gardener carefully chooses rich soil and pure water, the discipline of gentle consumption mandates a meticulous filtration of every piece of information, every casual conversation, and every captivating sight we take in. This is not mere mindfulness. It is an active, protective architecture for the soul. The ancient wisdom traditions, whether referencing the sattva quality in Hindu philosophy or the Christian concept of guarding your heart, Proverbs 4:23, have long understood that our inner state is directly sculpted by our external inputs. When we fail to filter, we invite spiritual toxins, fear, negativity, judgment, and pervasive cultural anxieties to take root. These spiritual toxins are not metaphorical fluff. They have quantifiable psychophysiological impacts. Modern research into the mind-body connection illuminates how chronic emotional states, particularly those rooted in fear or stress, trigger the HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and flood the system with stress hormones like cortisol. This sustained low-grade stress, often perpetuated by passively ingesting negative media or toxic gossip, initiates what is known as allostatic load, the wear and tear on the body that accumulates as an individual is exposed to repeated or chronic stress. On a cellular level, this stress response diverts precious energetic resources away from essential maintenance functions like cellular repair and DNA transcription. The purity God intends for our energetic pathways, often visualized as meridians or chakras in various healing arts, or simply the efficient flow of neurological signals in Western science, becomes clogged, thick with the residue of anxiety and criticism. This spiritual friction hinders the body's innate ability to self-regulate and heal, creating an environment ripe for imbalance and illness. To truly practice gentle consumption is to become the gentle architect of your inner ecosystem. It means consciously choosing uplifting content, engaging in compassionate dialogue, and focusing the eye of the mind on beauty and gratitude. For instance, the simple act of replacing 30 minutes of doom scrolling with focused meditation, or reading something spiritually enriching, fundamentally shifts your biochemical milieu, lowering cortisol and potentially stimulating the release of oxytocin, a hormone associated with bonding and well-being. This shift is the essence of God's desire for purity, not just moral cleanliness, but an energetic, bio-spiritual environment that allows the restorative process to flow smoothly and efficiently. When the spiritual friction is removed, the cellular machinery can hum along unobstructed, dedicating its full power to autophagy, the natural regulated mechanism of the cell that removes unnecessary or dysfunctional components, and true, deep repair. Therefore, the discipline of gentle consumption is a revolutionary act of self-care and spiritual alignment, ensuring that what enters your being is always in service of light, health, and profound energetic harmony, making the external choice of gentle food a seamless mirror of the internal choice for gentle, life-affirming thought. Number 4, the gratitude echo. The concept of the gratitude echo is far more than a polite social custom. It is a profound and immutable spiritual law that acts as an energetic multiplier in the universe, decreeing that what you authentically praise, you dramatically amplify. This principle views gratitude not as a fleeting, warm sentiment, but as a genuine, high-frequency spiritual transmitter, a powerful signal that you broadcast from the deepest core of your being. Imagine your heart as a celestial radio station. When you tune it to the frequency of genuine thanks, you immediately enter a state of vibrational alignment that science and spirituality increasingly acknowledge as the conduit to manifestation and healing. In a physical context, this means that even when the body is in a state of imperfection, be it chronic discomfort or a health challenge, offering sincere thanks for its current function for the very breath in your lungs and the beat of your heart is an act of profound self-acknowledgement and cosmic expectation. This is the ultimate signal of sufficiency, shifting your internal narrative from "I am lacking" to "I am provided for." A crucial move for unlocking your deepest reserves of natural resilience. This echo operates on a divine principle of recognition and reward, engaging the universal intelligence that governs all life and is often personified as God. A grateful heart, in this spiritual framework, is the most potent outward expression of perfect trust. When you express gratitude despite your circumstances, you are declaring an absolute faith that there is an underlying order and goodness at work, independent of the external turmoil you may be experiencing. This level of trust acts like a master key, bypassing the fear, doubt, and anxiety that often place the body's healing mechanisms on lockdown. From a physiological perspective, chronic fear and stress flood the body with cortisol, triggering the fight or flight response, which literally suppresses non-essential functions like immune system activity and tissue repair. Gratitude, conversely, is a powerful neural shifter. Studies in neurocardiology and positive psychology suggest that practicing appreciation promotes heart rate variability, HRV, shifting the nervous system from the detrimental sympathetic state, stress, to the restorative parasympathetic state, the rest and digest mode where the body's natural, God-given healing energy is released and activated. Furthermore, the act of giving thanks for the body's health in advance of its full restoration is an echo of the divine principle of abundance. It's a non-verbal affirmation that you are already in a state of receiving, which prompts the universe and your own subconscious mind to deliver more of that reality. This is why the divine craves this echo. It is not about demanding praise, but about witnessing your alignment. A trusting, grateful heart demonstrates a co-creative partnership with the force of life. When you amplify the good, the simple ability to stand, to see, to breathe, you are quite literally rewiring your brain and recalibrating your body's energy field to match the high vibration frequency of love and wholeness. The gratitude echo transforms a passive hope into an active, resonant prayer, making the grateful individual a dynamic force in their own continuous journey toward vibrant well-being and abundant living. It is a spectacular, captivating truth that the simple utterance of thanks holds the power to reshape your reality, one amplifying echo at a time. Number 5, intentional release of unseen burdens. The burdens we carry are not always visible. They are the unforgiveness that festers silently, the unresolved past wounds that dictate our present reactions, and the corrosive resentment, whether directed outward toward others or, often more damagingly, inward toward the self. These are not merely abstract emotional inconveniences to be managed. They are profound, energetic anchors that operate on a physical level, subtly yet powerfully draining the very life force, the massive quantum of physical energy, that should be wholly dedicated to promoting healing, facilitating cellular regeneration, and sustaining vibrant vitality. Think of your total physical energy reserves as a pristine, high-capacity battery. When you harbor these unseen burdens, a significant and constant current is siphoned off, not to power your life, but to maintain a state of internal conflict and perpetual defense. This phenomenon is a verifiable spiritual and psychological fact with tangible physiological consequences, forming a spectacular but often tragic feedback loop between mind and body. The spiritual truth, supported by decades of psychosomatic research, is that chronic resentment acts as an ongoing, low-grade alarm signal in the nervous system, holding onto a grievance, whether against the person who wronged you decades ago or against yourself for a past mistake, forces your cellular structure into a chronic state of stress, characterized by an exaggerated sympathetic nervous system activation. This is the body's fight or flight response, designed for acute emergencies, not for daily life. When constantly engaged, it floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. While cortisol is life-saving in the short term, its chronic presence is catabolic. It breaks down healthy tissues. It suppresses the immune system, promotes inflammation, the root of almost all chronic diseases, accelerates cellular aging by shortening telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes, and significantly impairs the parasympathetic nervous system, the crucial rest and digest mode where genuine internal healing and energy conservation occur. Essentially, chronic resentment tricks your body into behaving as if it is constantly preparing for conflict, leaving little or no energy for the peaceful, regenerative processes of self-governed healing. The imperative for release, often framed in spiritual terms as a requirement from a higher power, God requires the intentional, peaceful release of these anchors, is, in a deeper sense, an absolute requirement for biological health. This release is not for the benefit of the person who wronged you. It is a radical act of self-preservation and energetic liberation. The process of genuinely forgiving and consciously releasing these emotional, energetic anchors involves a neurological shift, moving from the state of perceived threat to one of safety and peace. This shift is measurable. When a person moves from a state of sustained anger to one of acceptance and peace, studies using electroencephalography, EEG, have shown changes in brainwave patterns, often an increase in calming alpha waves. On a molecular level, the release of these burdens downregulates the production of inflammatory cytokines and begins to normalize the stress hormone cascade. The profound magic happens when this energetic shift occurs. By intentionally, peacefully choosing to let go of the past's hold, you free up the massive amounts of physical energy previously locked into maintaining the state of conflict and chronic defense. This newly liberated energy is immediately available. It is the fuel necessary for your body to fully engage the internal, self-governed reversal process. It's the energy that powers true cellular repair, strengthens the immune response, rebalances the gut microbiome, and supports the optimal function of the entire endocrine system. Forgiveness, therefore, is not a sentimental gesture. It is a biological mandate that catalyzes an internal process of physiological liberation and allows the human body's intrinsic, divinely designed ability to heal itself to finally commence, leading directly to sustainable vitality and profound well-being. This deliberate, courageous act transforms a life from one perpetually bound by the past into one empowered by present, limitless possibility. Number 6, the acceptance of divine timing. The frantic modern pulse of humanity often clashes with one of the deepest, most foundational truths of creation, the sacred rhythm of time, or what spiritual traditions often term the acceptance of divine timing. This sixth element, a hallmark of the chosen one's spiritual maturity, is less about passive waiting and more about an active, profound alignment with the universe's grand, unhurried clock. In the context of deep systemic healing, the kind of complete foundational reversal of cellular decline, the greatest saboteur is often not the illness itself, but the chronos, linear human time, anxiety it introduces, a frenetic desire to rush a process that inherently requires kairos, opportune, qualitative, or divine time. Imagine the body not just as a machine needing a quick repair, but as a crumbling ancient cathedral, requiring a full architectural restoration. You wouldn't hire a contractor who promised to rebuild a 500-year-old structure in a weekend. The job demands meticulous layer-by-layer work, requiring materials to settle, mortar to cure, and complex blueprints to be followed precisely. This analogy underscores the physiological reality. True healing is a complex symphony of biochemical and epigenetic resets that simply cannot be rushed. The body's intrinsic repair mechanisms, governed by telomere extension, mitochondrial biogenesis, and the careful unwinding of cellular memory, the stored history of trauma and stress, require a non-linear organic process. Scientists recognize that the deep restoration of organ systems, such as the full regeneration of the liver or the complex remodeling of bone tissue, operates on its own intrinsic timetable. Rushing introduces stress hormones like cortisol, which are immediate antagonists to the very systems we are trying to heal, effectively pouring acid on the fresh mortar. The Chosen One understands this biological truth and, through acceptance, stops introducing the high-frequency, discordant energy of anxiety into their system. This is an act of supreme wisdom, recognizing that their will, when perfectly aligned with the divine architect's perfect timeline, creates a non-interference field, an energetic vacuum where the most profound and quiet healing can occur. This wisdom is rooted in the immutable spiritual law of sowing and reaping. In the natural world, this law is beautifully demonstrated by the farmer. A successful harvest is not a magical event, but the inevitable result of respecting the distinct seasons. There is a season for planting, initiating the healing intention and practice, a season for nurturing, maintaining discipline and positive outlook, and a long, quiet season of unseen growth. The most crucial stage, the growth of the seed deep beneath the soil, is utterly invisible to the impatient eye, yet it is the foundation of the eventual fruit. Trying to dig up the seed to check its progress would destroy it. Similarly, the deep foundational shifts, the reversal of cellular aging, and the rebooting of the immune system occur in the unseen depths of the being. The acceptance of divine timing is the ultimate act of faith that the seed of healing planted is growing perfectly, even when the visible leaves have yet to sprout. By surrendering the human ego's need for instant gratification and embracing this sacred slowness, the individual steps fully into their role as a co-creator, providing the optimal energetic and biochemical environment for God's restorative work to reach its magnificent and complete fruition. Number 7, the daily covenant of self-love. The notion that God desires a daily covenant of self-love is a truly captivating spiritual pivot, challenging the deeply ingrained cultural and religious narrative that often equates holiness solely with self-denial and endless sacrifice. For the archetype of the Chosen One, the individual often called to intense service, healing, or leadership. This covenant is not a suggestion, but the final necessary condition for complete well-being and maximum efficacy. The factual and psychological reality underpinning this divine requirement is rooted in the concept of psychoneuroimmunology, PNI, the study of how the mind, nervous system, and immune system interact. Chronic self-rejection, relentless criticism, and feelings of unworthiness, while seemingly just emotional states, trigger the body's stress response system. When the brain perceives the self as under constant attack, even from within, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal, HPA, axis is activated, leading to a sustained release of stress hormones like cortisol. This chronic cortisol elevation is scientifically proven to suppress the immune system, increase inflammation, and impede the body's natural healing and regenerative processes, making that perfect cure physically impossible until the internal war is ceased. This divine mandate for self-love, therefore, is not an act of narcissism, but an act of profound spiritual and biological common sense, a sober recognition of inherent, unearned, and inalterable value. It moves beyond mere self-care, elevating the individual's existence to a sacred orchestration. The Creator, having invested a unique fingerprint of divinity into the body, being, and unique journey, views the internal rejection of that creation as a disruptive force. Think of the soul as a magnificent, finely tuned radio receiver. Constant internal static from self-criticism, guilt, and rejection, psychological noise, prevents the clear transmission and reception of external powerful signals. The Holy Spirit's healing power, the metaphorical channel, requires clarity, and that clarity is achieved only when the soul aligns with its own divine identity. Self-love, in this context, is the deliberate act of removing the self-imposed psychic blockages. It is accepting the profound truth that your current, messy, imperfect journey is, nonetheless, perfectly ordained. The covenant's daily nature speaks to the necessity of neuroplasticity. Our brains are wired by repetition, and years of self-deprecating thought patterns create deep neural grooves. The daily practice of recognizing one's own sacredness, a daily meditation, affirmation, or act of grace towards the self, is required to form new, life-affirming neural pathways. This consistent, conscious redirection of thought away from self-abuse and towards self-acceptance literally changes the brain's structure over time, shifting the default setting from threat rejection to safety acceptance. This neurological shift signals to the body's immune system that the internal environment is safe, finally allowing the full resources of the organism to be directed toward physical reversal and profound spiritual integration. Ultimately, the daily covenant of self-love is the final essential paradox of the spiritual life. Only by fully embracing and loving the self as a perfect creation can the chosen one become the clearest, most potent vessel for the transformative power intended to flow through them to the world. Beloved chosen one, the journey to reversal and ultimate self-cure is not a violent storm, but a gentle tide, steady, faithful, and guided by the unseen hand of God. It does not demand that you force anything, nor does it ask you to fight against yourself. Instead, it invites you to soften, to open, and to allow these 7 quiet, profound elements to take root deep within your spiritual vessel. Quiet, certainty gives the command, an inner knowing that does not shout, but simply is. It is the silent conviction that what God has spoken over your life will not return void. The sanctified pause creates the space, reminding you that healing is not rushed, it is received. In the stillness, your spirit becomes teachable, your mind uncluttered, and your heart aligned with God's rhythm. Gentle consumption provides the purity, encouraging you to take in only what nourishes your soul, whether it be words, thoughts, or environments, so your inner world remains clean enough for miracles to settle. The gratitude echo raises the frequency, amplifying your spiritual resonance and pulling divine favor toward you with every thankful breath. Intentional release clears the channels, letting go of what no longer belongs, so that new life may enter without resistance. Acceptance of divine timing ensures perfection, anchoring your soul in trust rather than urgency, knowing that God's clock is never late. And the daily covenant of self-love provides the sacred home for the miracle, creating a place where healing can abide without being expelled by self-neglect or doubt. Know that as you begin to embody these 7 elements, the transformation has already begun. Your body, that glorious temple, will respond to the higher law of the Spirit. Breathe deeply, rest in the promise, and know that you are not forgotten. The reversal is your inheritance, and the cure is your divine destiny.